Hello guys, Kobe here with another not so quick analysis. This time we're gonna be going to the Asian scene to talk about FlyQuest Anubis. First, let me say a few things before, because you know when you have some issues speaking certain words, this happens with everyone. And FlyQuest, I have actually two players that I have troubles speaking the names, okay? So I'm gonna just show to you how I usually say the name, so when you're hearing the video, you can say, oh, the pronunciation is different. And I may say sorry about this, okay? So, Netki, I sometimes say Nikit. I don't know why. The word is not in this way in Portuguese, but I say Nikit sometimes, even though I know that is Netki. And Vexit. Vexit, I sometimes say Vegite. It is weird because I have training a lot pronunciation the names to record the video. And when I did the test runs, I said sometimes Nikit instead of Nakit. Okay, so I say sorry if I say the name wrong, and then when you hear this pronunciation, please remember that is Netki and Vexit, and just saying the name is wrong. Okay, but let's move on. First, let's talk about the profile of the team, the CT profile. What the way FlyQuest likes to play is to play this beacon aggro. They usually play 1-2 players, sometimes with another player here, so they 2 players here and connect. But they also play a heavy control B. We're gonna see WP on this region. We're gonna see then going for this part of the map. So they heavily prefer the B side. Meanwhile, on the A side, the JKS plays a solo anchor as more passive role. You know, he plays on the edge of the map. Sometimes you play more here, but it is more passive. I think that is a disadvantage of FlyQuest because JKS is a player that can run forward, can play like a more aggro player. And meanwhile, on the mid side, they play a control tempo, you know, sometimes 2 players with INS and then start with the WP. Stars plays a fantastic WP on the whole map. You're gonna see also on the T side, he plays heavily WP. But the way FlyQuest plays, they control the B, they go for aggro con a lot of movement, a lot of 2B players, you know? Like this, 2 mid and 2B semi-aggro. As I said, 2 players on the B con. They're gonna engage on the map, cutting this part of the map so they have full control. They doesn't give the T space to breathe. They doesn't give the T any space on the map. And the reason why this is happening is because we have 2 players on this part of the region. So you know they both connect right here. And that's why we see a lot of utility. You know, one flash here on the edge of the map, another flash near the water, another Molotov, you know, Molotov here. And then JKS, as I said, a more passive role. He's waiting to the T's to connect towards him. That's why he plays on this part of the map. Something that I'm gonna be talking a lot of the video, it is that the position of stars, because stars, the Portuguese, they can connect on the A side, as he is near the A con, and also move back on the B side in case the action fails on the water. So, you know, pay attention to the stars movement for FlyQuest. He always moves, he always engages, he rotates a lot with the WP. And I really like. Another way to play the map, it is a fast control, you know. These are more early timing aggressions from the FlyQuest. And that's why we see a flash right here. So they will flash, and then JKS push it. One of the few setups, and not only the only setup that they play this control really fast. That's why I think that it was worth to show to you guys how they play the map. Because they split 2, 1, and 2. Once again, start with the WP alone on the mid because he has to control mid. Otherwise, the team fails the tactics, you know. They need to control the mid. They need the con to be aggro. That's why we see one player on the fast position. So like 15 seconds on the clock, they already be doing this aggression. So the T's need to move back. So they either retreat starts here, here. That's why we see also the Molotov tree make a wall to not cross, you know. So if they fade this Molotov with a smoke, the question, oh, they really want to control B, so they want to clash, and that's why we see JKS on the edge of the map instead of retreated, closing out every single space the T have on the map. Something that I must say, I wrote about this in the conclusion. Also, if you read the test that Go Docs, you're gonna see this part that I wrote. Is that this play style, a fast approach, you know, quick engages, works very well in the Asian. But when they go outside Asia, like when they played against Nexus, the Romanian team, 100 Thieves, this isn't enough, because it is easy to predict. So you see the Molotov here, it is a sign. So if there is Molotov, they're going to play very fast. And these small things against a well-structured team becomes harder to apply. And when they tried it, they failed. That's why they lose that game at 100 TVs. Anubis, they have, not wrong, 8 maps played, 7 wins. The only defeat it is against 100 TVs. But they have some issues playing against Nexus during the Dracula event. Now moving on to the Aggro BWP, Aggro B Beacon with WP as backup. And remember when I said about story rotation with the WP? This is one of the positions. So the team plays control on the con, really aggressive. INS plays control on the mid, really closing out the positions. We have 2 players from the B, 1 player from the mid controlling the water, so they fully control this part of the map. JKS on a passive role, always with this Molotov. Once again, it is a sign. If the cheese faces a Molotov, JKS knows they're gonna push. So that's why JKS it is on the corner of the map, waiting for the cheese movement. And I had the cycle him because the runtime is connected towards the A-con. So they play a 2A and 3B setup. But the main idea here is that INS plays mid because it knows the star is controlling the connection from the B side. That's why we see a Molotov blocking, because if they doesn't throw this Molotov, what the T is gonna do? They're gonna push and flank as the 2 players are inside this box right here. So, you have to prevent with utility. It's another reason why Star is serious, because if they cross the Molotov, Stars will cover him. That's why he's the backup player, because if the connection on the Aggro B fails, he'll make something. He'll trade skills, he'll make a +1, so he's the plan B. And I really like when teams try this plan B approach. Now another movement, the 3B. Really like when they tried this because, you give a lot of space on the map for the T's if it doesn't control this region. So, they have this full control with FlyQuest when they move 2 players on the doors. So you have the mid doors control, the B doors controlling, and they push. Once again, they doesn't want to give any space for the T side, closing water. This time Story is right here, INS is right here, and JKS alone. And this is something I actually think FlyQuest lacks, is that JKS has few options on the map. I do think they should give more freedom to JKS play on the map. He has the player with potential to win duels, he has the player to trade skills, but he always is in the Anubis city alone on the A side. He doesn't move towards the A-con to help on the mid, as they always want to keep 1 player on this part of the map. I do think that is because they're playing against Asian teams, and Asian teams, play more simpler way, play a simpler approach than the European teams. But that's it. Let's move on to the counterplay. So how do you counter this simplistic way of playing the map? First of all, fast A. Since you know that JKS is alone here, you can move towards him, you can kick back him. The way you kick back, 1 player on the side, 1 player on the water, you smoke right here. Maybe smoke on the beacon from the mid. And then you move. This is your approach to take out the A side. I know that is, I will just erase it so you can see clear what I'm saying. No, there is a tiny space right here. It is hard to cross, it is an edge, but remember JKS is on this part of the map. So this choke point, you can pass. That's why I think if they give more freedom to JKS to move, he'll make more impact. Because this choke point, whatever, he's way down here. You can't push the choke point, you can engage on the map. Now for the mid control, since FlyQuest relies so much on this mid control, relies so much on this water control that I showed to you guys, should challenge it then. Why not? You have the firepower for European team, you have the skill set, you have the coordination to play against this mid control. So you push INS back, you push Stars back, you let Netic right here, Vexite aqui, here, Netic right here. So you challenge them, you move back, control the water. It doesn't give it this beacon, the space for FlyQuest. And another thing, the bee lurker. Because on the most of the plays we have your Netic here, Vexite here. So you can be more, you can take more space. The only place that it hurts a lot when they move full aggro, and if they move full aggro, a side, opposite side, you push. I just erase all again because it's getting messy. Here, if they, oh sorry about that. If they challenge you on the B-Dars, push a side, whatever, no regret. If you can't enter the B-Dars, well, mid connects. And then you have the B lurker. I think the B lurker, not just against FlyQuest, but also against top teams, it is a really powerful move. You move one player, not two. I'm gonna show a tactic that FlyQuest do with two players, and I honestly doesn't like a lot, but whatever, it works for FlyQuest. Now just a quick breaker. So far, 469 subscribe. You're almost reaching the 500. So remember to like, subscribe, let a comment during the video. It helps a lot the algorithm. Now moving on, 11 minutes. It's a good timing. T profile, as I said, have a WP presence. Stars, it is a fundamental player for the team. Story plays every single place. He plays BAWP, AWP, mid AWP. So it is an expensive way to play the map, So they need to have the economy rolling always, every single round. Luckily for them, the T side at Anubis, it is a stronger side. So it is easier to build up the economy. It is easier to plant. It is easier to make the rounds winning. Another aspect of FlyQuest, it is the side pressure. We're gonna see a lot of two, sometimes three. So they play 2A, 2B, 1 mid, 2 mid. There is even sometimes if they play the attack with 3 mid, I'm gonna show you this play. I think that is very interesting because they put a lot of pressure on this part of the map with the combo of Molotov here and here. But that is the profile. Too much pressure on the WP, so Story must win the round. Story must win the duels. Now moving on to the A side, the 2A, 1 mid and 2B. This is one of the plays that, they play more control. They are waiting to see what the CT wants to do. So they're trying to give space, gain space on the map. They're trying to fight inch for inch. With 2 players on the B side, they want to engage on the B. Then you have AWP starts with the mid. So he wants to control all this part of the map with the WP alone. And then the 2A. What they do in this inch by inch fight is that when they gain space, like they throw a flash, JKS pushes and they gain space on the A side. The B side rotates from water, not from con, not from mid. They rotate towards water. And the reason why they prefer water is because Story has the WP. So it is easy to start to control the water position right here. So that's the catch about them. If you give space, oh, sorry about that. Here, if you give this space right here for them, they rotate. They like to rotate lower on the map, not upper side, not here. Let's return to the white pencil here. So do you understand the idea? The same goes for the B side. If the B side gets space, 2 players towards water. Okay? Remember, water is the main path for rotation. Mid attack, as I said to you guys, this red circle right here, the different color, is because it is a heavy Molotov presence. They throw a lot of utilities during this play. So they play fast. And the way they want to play the map is by this entrance and this entrance. So these 2 points of the map are the points of attack. They control mid, and then from mid with 3-4 players, because the Stars can rotate back and act as a lurker, because we have JKS as a lurker. So Stars can play this B lurker and divide the attack. You have 3 players. Let's say that they just won. We had 1 player right here on the mid, We have a 5v4 situation. 3 players on the pressure during the control mid. Stars rotate back and check the B. Well, 1 player, 2 players, if he dies, let's say that he dies, so his stars die. But they have the information that they had at least 2 players, so the mid pack with 3 players. We on the A side, they're gonna be on the A side with the help of JKS, so they're gonna be a 2-side attack. From this choke point, that's why we usually see the smoke right here. And then from this other choke point. Very interesting attack. I really like this approach of having mid presence, but I do think there is a lot of utility being spent in the early round. AWPB. So Stars has the WP, the control right here. Then we have 2 players, JKS play on the B side. That's why it is an indicator. If it doesn't see utility, it doesn't see on the A side, they are B. And this goes back to the same thing I talk about. They play way too simple. It works in the Asian scene. In the European scene, in the South American scene, I don't think so. They're playing too simple. And this is something I highly recommend you to watch it, to read at least the conclusion. The Google documents, it is the conclusion. And the YouTube video, it is the intro. And when you click to check it out, the time spans, the things, it is the same thing. I just copy and paste. Because you are playing way too simple. I really recommend this. I talk this with a lot. It is a criticism from my side, from FlyQuest. I often doesn't do this criticism, but when I saw the simplicity of the play, it works against everything. And it's fine if you want to earn the VRS points that you play the Cologne Major. Okay, I'm okay with that. If not wrong, FlyQuest is the 3rd or 4th team in the VRS Asia. But anyway, if you're playing for these points, you're playing for the major, only Asia, it's fine. But if you want to win big games, you have to go deeper. You have to go riskier. You have to be more elaborate. Because see, no utility on today's side, it is a clear indicator for any team with our structure. If any team with an analyst will identify the same patterns I'm doing, identify even better because they paid to do this, right? There is your job, not just a rob like I do. So clear path is no utility. But just let's move back for the content. Sorry about this. All the things I, because I was sad, I really like the arc FlyQuest. FlyQuest has environmental causes, but they're playing way too simple. I get why, because they farm points on the Asian, but please be more elaborated. Okay, 3 players, fast engage, start with the LP, the control this part of the map, engage from the mid. Simple plan. It works very well. We have a flash, so the player coming out from the A side is blind and the mid can't be pushing, so they doesn't rely on the control on the beacon. So here, they doesn't need to do this control because they're going from the other side and the other side of the map. Now for the AWPA. Now it is a more tricky position because we have 3 players and then we have 2 lurkers here and here. This opens, oh sorry about that. Here. Oh sorry, just moving the arrows. If not wrong, I just mistake the players. Let me just check. Yeah, the image is swapped right here. Should be stories. Sorry about that. I just swapped the images from few players. Here, stories here. Stories should be here. And not here. So this is story, this is exit. Because the LP is on the A side. They play the LP tries the water position with the 2 lurkers. And really sorry about that. You like just eraser. I confused the players. So this is story and this is Vexit. Okay, they are swapped positions. They're playing the WP on the water to control this part of the map and also to engage. That's why you have 2 lurkers. When you put the WP on the water side, you open the possibility of going from here with the B lurker, going on the mid, towards the A con or towards the B con if he wants to. That's why the controlling the water position with the WP. That's why the WPA, it is a better play than the WPB. Because there is less indicators of what they want to do. Even though you are saying that the LP water can expands the attack tries to be the players if win the duel against the beacon. JKS plus INS can go towards him on the A side, okay? Now for the counterplay, how do you react? First of all, I do think that you should be playing a B rotational player, like this, because the B rotation can connect towards mid and also can be as the third player, as you usually play one anchor here and one B con aggressor right here. The mid WP, it is another play that I do think, also in the connector position near the A con, right here. The reason why I think the mid WP is way important than the side WP against FlyQuest is not because of the rotation, but also because the emphasis that FlyQuest gives to the mid. So you are fighting for the mid against FlyQuest. They're fighting for the three players for the AWP mid when they play the 2-1-2. So you're always fighting with the WP, you're always fighting for the mid position. For the A aggro, I do think, as I said, for the JKS to have this read, I do think that is the right call, especially against FlyQuest, because once again you have a JKS right here that doesn't play very aggro. The team holds him a lot to play more passive, to play a more hold position. So you should challenge the A side. Even though there are the players with the two position when we have one player here, another player here. So see, there is still an option of attack. Even when they're playing two players, there are space to engage with the A aggressor. So if you have a 1A aggressor chart and together with a mid rotation with the WP, because the last man is the WP, you can play an easy trade. You trade one player, trade two players, and since the CT side it is the weaker side for Anubis, I think that is a good approach. So my opinion against FlyQuest is to move and to be more coordinated, because they aren't expecting all this coordination, especially from the Asian teams, okay? And thanks for watching. Sorry if I said some players wrong, I tried to avoid to say these players, by the way. Sorry about that, because I was really worried to misspelling the name like Netki. I was keeping saying Kit while I was trying to practice for the video. Vexit, I was trying Vexit. And in the end, I was seeing that I swapped the images from Story and Vexit. I don't know why I keep making these same mistakes with FlyQuest. FlyQuest is my Achilles heels. Like here, it is swapped. Not. See, let's just check. I think that the WP B, I also swapped the image. Yeah. Let me check. No, here is right. Here it is, stories. Oh, it was just on the WPA that I swapped. But anyway, bye bye. See you soon.